tectonic amount of rage, or maybe that's not the best word here. I can't even articulate the words here, just how much depravity and loathing I have for Premier Danielle Smith, Alberta, who posts out a video about how strong and invincible Alberta is on 5 refineries she goes into. 5 I know extremely well in my life, like a lot of those in my trade, a lot of those absolutely through the 90s. I remember the time of Shell coming onto the scene, many expansions, Fort McMurray with a clay road. That's where I got my start. The bridge to nowhere and the clay road. None of that existed. So much of it, literally I would say a good 75% of what we have in Alberta oil sands today did not exist when I came onto the scene. It was my father before me, great uncles before that. Talk about trades and history just in Alberta and the explosion of work and the talk. Danielle Smith feeds a bag of bullshit and lies on 5 refineries. Folks, if you ever want to see a speech on the reality of Venezuela and a speech on what Eastern Canada demands from Alberta, and the middleman is America, well, that's the video today released, pinned by Danielle Smith, at least on Twitter, going through USA can't go without on these key 5 refineries. Folks, a total of which is the equivalent of Venezuela under sanctions today and the tremendous amount lost. That's all that remains for Alberta. And guess whose #1 customer those refined products actually are? Well, that would be Quebec and Ontario. Largely Ontario, but yes, into Quebec. That's it. That's all. And Ontario has the lion's share here, folks, where the middleman of those 5 refineries is indeed the United States of America. The loss versus the gain doesn't even compute. Bragging about going from everybody 4.6 million barrels a day to 550,000 barrels a day. That's what Alberta will be reduced to. That's what a USA can't replace if it wishes, folks, if it wishes to sell to Ontario and Quebec. Wow. Wow. Premier Danielle Smith, you and your class of lunatic, loser, lowlife degenerates are amazing. You're almost as amazing as the Venezuela regime today. And so many years yesterday, when they thought they could take on the United States and they would see things go their way, and they were invincible. Think about that, Albertans, Canadians. Your industry, it's already been decided. And if you haven't been paying attention to the monumental shifts in selling off assets of the oil sands, you should. When Shell does a radical sell-off, left from their last during the op-ed they wrote on me, I know nobody likes that. Not you, friends and followers, but I know these political elites, these crown lowlifes, and that's really what they are. Donald J. Trump is going after our crown, and that means breaking Canadians, everyday Canadians, because it's you who allows that to continue. They don't want it no more. You're going to see all tomorrow anyway, publicly. Go look at Danielle Smith's statement. Go look at my post. Credible, real, verifiable. I've always known Illinois as it really is. That has been a bread and butter of mine since I was 16 years old. And when most of the rest of it was just a thought, an imagination of who? Premier Ralph Klein. And he saw it done. And if he was alive today, he would just be sickened to the extreme. But it just amazes me that Danielle Smith, holding on to everything she has in so many whopping lies, princess of lies, princess of thievery, princess cheater. That's your Danielle Smith. And I hate to say that, but they've always been this way. I banged on a drum that I can tell you all, in 2019, like, love, or hate me in the way I am, I'm honest, credible, real, and verifiable. And when I told that truth of what we had to do as just a province, a country, of course, but as a province, what we had to see done. Michelle wrote that op-ed. It wasn't just that op-ed. It was the fact that 6 of my MP candidates came from the oil sands. What does that tell you? What does that tell you? And I can assure you none of them quit. They all stayed the course. Sponsored by American companies, sponsored by even Canadian companies, and of course foreign companies, all in the oil sands. This was the path to go. Canada didn't want to do it. You're greedy, seedy, lunatic, lowlife, degenerate politicians. And if you think it's just a federal government thing, you're sadly mistaken. It's the provincial crowns, maybe even more so than the federal crown. Maybe even more so. But this American administration sees all of it clear as day. They've gotten everything I ever wrote to the highest ambassador levels, not just for USA, but all the allies of World War II. And Trump's administration paid attention, and they're coming out strong in decolonization. Richard Albert re-showcases his paper on constitutional decolonization, something I spread really hard. I took a beating in New York on that. I defended him. I'm glad I did. I'm glad I defended Texas. You don't see Danielle Smith and her group talking about Texas or Loop or any of that, because they don't need Alberta. That means the bulk of Alberta isn't needed. What kind of bulk are we talking about? The same bulk as Venezuela. You've got a provincial regime playing a nasty liar's game, a liar, cheater, thiever's game that was been played many times, and it was the people who suffered. Now, I'm not going to get into all of it. I'm not. I'm going to let these things roll out. I've already long predicted this stuff, way beyond anyone else, and I know it's showing in my following, so many of you for the 51st state. But people need to wake up to the truth. They need to see it for themselves. I'm going to let it all slide. I see seedy politicians stealing my intellectual property. It's not stealing when I ask people to share, but if you're in a political position of power and you take somebody's works and you don't acknowledge them as their works and you pass it off as yourself, that's stealing. That's taking credit where credit is not due. It's disgusting. Maxime Bernier may convince Canadians. He may try to play this for himself, but he's a dirty shirt. He's wrapped up in this as old as Venezuela. His name is front and center on that with the United States, with both Republicans and, yes, a minority of Democrats, but a big enough majority together to get that 60% required and 65% required for many American things. I told you all, February 1st to April 1st, we're not even done yet. The pain of what's coming tomorrow is not even the full bag. 25% tariffs, it can get as high inside of trade embargoes, to 40% by April 1st. 40%. I mean, we haven't even gotten started. You haven't even seen the major rollout yet, even though tomorrow, even though it's already done today. I already know this for a fact. And I put my name out there. I've been putting it out for many months. And I've taken a lot of ridicule, a lot of crazy. I still take it, but it's okay. Because I actually do love Canadians and First Peoples. And you all deserve the truth. I always say everybody deserves the truth. Do I deserve respect? Well, I guess that's a whole other issue, right? But regardless, this is the truth, and it's all coming to pass as I've stated it to be, and I have not changed course. And you're going to see tomorrow's painful, but it's not as painful yet of what's coming in more and more and more. Your provincial premiers are guilty as charged in made legal immigration against the United States of America. America knows this, folks. They know to a T. And it isn't just Republicans. It's many, many Democrats too. It would surprise you. I know I'm blessed in this life, staying honest, staying the course, and never, ever betraying the people or the truth. Never throwing people under the bus that don't deserve it. And I've done that. No matter how unpopular it is. I'm not a populist, obviously. And you know what? In the long run, it pays off, and it's paying off now. Canada, the 51st state. That is our only answer here. It's going to get ugly for a lot of provinces tomorrow. Very ugly. 2 I'm going to name right now. 2, Alberta, Quebec. Instant pain like nobody else, but that's not the end all and be all of it. That's my video. That's all I'm going to say today. Tomorrow, much more detail. This weekend, I'm off, which I need. I need these hours off. I'm going to go into Prime Minister, and it tails right in to Premiers too, but I don't want to spoil too much or overload. It's already overloading for me, the volumes I've read. But we're going to go through Prime Minister like nobody's ever done for all of you in its real inception in history. God bless. That's my video. Share, share, share. Get it out there. Bye now.